Let's get stuck into our show today. It's all about pensioner power today, and we've heard from the Prime Minister after a tense day yesterday in the House of Commons as MPs voted to scandalously cut winter fuel payments for old age pensioners. The Conservatives and Reform are vowing to name and shame Labour Party MPs who voted, in their words, to freeze your grandparents, as ministers doubled down on their decision to scrap winter fuel payments for 10 million British pensioners. Now, lest we forget, in 2017, Angela Rayner tweeted this. She tweeted that will Theresa May confirm that 10 million pensioners will lose their winter fuel payments if the Tories are re-elected? Well, they weren't re-elected. You were in power, Angela Rayner, and your party decided to exit. Well, 10 million pensioners are about to, but I thought you cared about this country's pensioners. And also, from 2017, this is what Rachel Reeves had to say. There's a message on screen there. I'll never forget a woman in Leeds West I spoke to who had purple fingers because her pension wasn't enough to pay for the heating. We must act now. This is the same Chancellor, Rachel Reeves now, whose idea it was to axe the winter fuel payment. And it just keeps getting worse and worse for the Labour Party. Joining me now is our political editor, Chris Hope. Chris, an astonishing day yesterday. You've sterling, brilliant work in Westminster Hall, reporting on this all day. The votes came in live on the show. I was staggered by them. I was staggered by the fact that so many first-time Labour Party MPs followed the party line. 348 out of 348, 100% of the MPs who voted to access, they are all from the Labour Party. Quite simply, Chris, my question is the Labour Party the new nasty party?
Well, they certainly have their fingers dipped in the blood, to use a kind of Shakespearean sort of Caesar analogy. They've been made to back the government on a policy which will be the first attack line at the next election. Again, 4 or 5 years away, but still a problem. Already we're seeing social media posts from Tory MPs or Tory candidates at the next election saying, your MP voted for this. How do you feel about that? Earlier, I spoke to Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor in Silverstone, and I asked her that actual question. Is Labour the new nasty party? Here's what she had to say.
We'll come to the economy in a minute, but just about the vote yesterday in House of Commons on the winter fuel allowance. The fact is that 348 Labour MPs voted to make pensioners colder this winter. Is Labour now the nasty party?
Well, this government faced a £22 billion black hole in the public finances, but we were determined to protect the poorest pensioners, which is why pension credit and the winter fuel payment will continue to be paid to those pensioners who most need the support. But in addition to that, we committed to the triple lock in our manifesto, not just for 1 year, but for the duration of this Parliament. And the triple lock means that this winter, the new state pension is worth £900 more than it was a year ago.
Rachel Reeves there talking to GB News for me earlier. I mean, I think interesting. There's figures around here. You've got these figures from the GB News survey today. There are 17 new swing seats where the new Labour MP has voted in favour of this measure. 90% of pensioners there will lose their winter fuel payment. People will not forget this. I do think it will turn into something akin to the increase in the tuition fees, which damaged the Lib Dems so much. And also the issue, remember that 75p increase in the pension that Gordon Brown for? These things become sort of symbolic of almost an austerity Labour Party, and the choice they've made here to save 1.3 to 1.5 billion a year, is it worth it? I also, in that same interview available now on GB News' website, I said to her, if all 800,000 people who haven't signed up for the pension credit do so, will that wipe out the saving? She said, well, she accepted that line and said
more than wipe it out.
More than wipe
three
it
times.
Out. But she said she'd rather it was paid to the right people than the wrong people. So despite that fact, remove everybody but get the money into the right pockets is the government's line.
But that doesn't quite add up with the previous statement of if we didn't axe the winter fuel payment, there'd be a run on the pound. It would destroy the market. They've made it out as a fiscal decision, yet, hey presto, it's not.
It feels that she's doing it on point of principle. There's talk in amongst MPs, rebel MPs, this lunchtime I've been talking with them. They're saying that she's been talking about this privately for a few years now, so I'll look into that further. If we have evidence that the Chancellor had looked into this idea of getting rid of the universal benefit, that's interesting. They say clearly that this idea came to the government when they saw the state of the finances, the £22 billion black hole.
A lot of people will be saying that that doesn't add up when you look at the £10 billion given to the 5.5% public service pay rise, NHS workers, teachers, £500 million to junior doctors, £100 million to train drivers, many of whom are on 70 grand a year anyway. And that GB News analysis you picked up there, it's an astonishing piece of work. And it analyses who will be impacted the hardest. As you said, 70 new Labour seats, first-time Labour seats, swung from the Tories and the SNP. 90% of pensioners in those seats are set to lose their winter fuel allowance. And Chris, when you look into where they are, there's a lot in the South West, a lot in Northumberland, a lot in Scotland. I bet you they'll be disproportionately impoverished, disproportionately cold. A lot of them are up north, and therefore this is going to hit them hard. I think the IEPs in these seats in particular are going to be very, very disgruntled.
And they won't forget, because if you're losing £200 a year, that's a problem. Now, the government says that we are increasing the state pension, but of course that's only really going out by about 5% because we're keeping pace with the increase of stuff in shops, inflation. This is on top of that, and that's what's being lost. That's why many, I mean, we're seeing in our postbag at GB News, so many viewers and listeners so upset.
And on that precise point, please stick around. I want to meet my next guest now. So how is scrapping the winter fuel allowance going to impact pensioners? Well, I'm delighted to say now I'm joined by Catherine Plant, who's the carer for her father, Douglas, and I believe in Crossland now in Derbyshire. Catherine, welcome to you and your magnificent father, Douglas there. Thank you so much. I know you got in touch with me earlier on today on our website when you saw that we were trying to campaign on this issue, and I wanted to invite you on today, Catherine, to tell your story and to tell your father's story and why this cruel cut will impact you so hard.
Hi, and thank you for having me on the show, Martin. Well, basically, my father's, he'll be 84 this coming December. He's recently just come out of hospital. He needs this winter fuel allowance, obviously, to keep him warm, basically. And I'm just upset and disgusted that Labour have actually done this.
And you live in a part of Derbyshire, and you said to me earlier on your house is particularly difficult to heat. It's a big open space, and so you need to keep your heating on. You're the primary carer. You live in with your father, and this will mean you having to make other sacrifices, won't it, Catherine, in your father's care? Tell us about that.
It is, well, yeah, it is a big open plan house. There's no doors in the main living area. It's all open plan. So in the winter, I can come down at 7 in the morning, put the heating on, and it's still cold by mid-afternoon. Cut back. I'm going to have to cut back now. We have carers that come in 4 times a day. I'm going to have to cut that back to 3 times a day to make way to have extra money, just to try and put money aside for the winter fuel, because that's now £300 that we've lost. So it's now coming out of our own pockets to try and meet that.
Catherine, I'm with our political editor, Chris Hope. We'd like to ask you a question, please.
Okay.
Douglas, Catherine, hi, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming on the channel. If I can ask you one question, I'll be seeing senior Labour politicians at the party conference and hopefully the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. I wondered if there's a question that Douglas, or you on behalf of Douglas, would like me to ask the Prime Minister directly.
Yeah. Why have you done it, basically? I mean, I followed the manifestos of every single party in the run-up to number 10. This was not part of the Labour manifesto. Why have you done it now? I think it's a dirty trick, and you basically sealed the fate of thousands and thousands of pensioners, much like my father. And I want to know why. Why have you done it?
And can I ask, Catherine, you may not want to say, but how do you vote in elections? Do you vote Labour or a different party?
No, I won't. I didn't vote Labour, and I will never vote Labour. after what they've just done. I did for the first time actually vote for the Liberal Democrats because their manifesto, I think I voted with my heart this time because I don't know his name, unfortunately, but the leader of the Liberal Democrats is a carer himself for his disabled son. So that struck a chord with me. So I did vote for the Democrats.
And Catherine, analysis that GB News have done has shown that in seats such as where you live, you're in Derby North, right? You're in Derby South, little over. So your local parliamentarian is Baggy Shankar. He's Labour. He voted to scrap the winter fuel allowance. So your local MP voted to get rid of the £200 that you rely upon, so evidently to take care of your father as the primary live-in carer. What do you think about the political class when they make decisions like this that impact people like you at grassroots level, and they impact you so hard, and now you're looking down the barrel of a long, cold winter of discontent?
Yeah, I think they're so far removed, they don't get the full impact of what their actions are doing. And if I could say to Baggy, I hope you're pleased with yourself. Why did your conscience not allow you to vote against this? I said, really, really, really not pleased.
Catherine Plant, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for reaching out to us this morning. I can tell you're emotional. Just sending you a huge amount of love and to your wonderful dad there. You know, please keep up the good work. Let's stay in touch, and we're going to make sure Chris Hope is sat here.
Yeah.
He has the ear of the Prime Minister. We can try and get that comment to the Prime Minister on your behalf. We can try and play that video of you doing this. Chris, do you want to step in and just reaffirm
Well,
that?
as I say, yeah, that's what I'll be doing. And we might even try and get along to number 10 today and ask a question and give an answer back on the programme in the next hour.
OK, we're going to
thank
try.
you very much.
Thanks, Catherine.
Now, Catherine Plant, Douglas, thank you so much for joining us on the show. You take care. Thank you very much.